Yeah, not the small pair.
If
Not
you don't
this
have that
pair.
Jesus
Can't
filter,
see.
okay,
The big one.
it's just going to be flesh. You're not going to think about what's going on. You're going to be real quick to pick up an offense.
I think I'll let Emerson wear these the next time. Emerson would look good in his juice glasses.
He's got a pretty big pair on right now. So, it's important in communicating that you're listening to hear and not just listening to reply. Right? Most of us just listen, and when your lips stop moving, we're ready to say something. And we have no idea what you said. But we know what we're going to say.
It's just so I don't forget.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another one of those lessons that I learned was to don't be so quick to try to fix something to make it go away.
Right.
And most of the time it was just I needed to hear the emotions, the feelings, and validate them. If I reject her feelings, I'm rejecting her.
Can you say that again?
When I reject her feelings, I'm rejecting her. Right? The very first thing that needs to be done when you're communicating with somebody is to validate their feelings. Now, that doesn't mean they're right or wrong.
Right.
You're just validating it. I hear you. I feel you. Something along those. It doesn't take a lot. You recognize it. Okay, that's how you feel. I'm sorry you feel that way,
Right.
but it's not my fault.
Oh, you say, what can I do to help?
But it's understanding how someone else feels, okay, especially in a marriage. Because, we all have feelings, and that's one of those issues that everybody seems to have is, my spouse just doesn't get me. They don't understand me. They don't recognize my feelings. They just shut me down as soon as I try to share anything. Well, you have to listen to what somebody has to say so that you can understand. You listen and learn, right? Part of listening is hearing so that you can understand. You listen to understand. You don't listen to reply, okay? Now, we talked a little bit about right and wrong, but now we're talking about a different kind of right here. This is more of a legal term. We have rights. We have a Bill of Rights, okay? Which are, these things are matter of fact, okay? But as a Christian, there are many people that don't agree with us, and sometimes, we all have those times. We're all weak in the flesh at some point, but most of the time we have the pride in us that wants to stand up for our right to be right. Okay? So this is something, God gave us human rights. Okay? That's the kind of right we're talking about here. But if we think about Jesus on the cross, he committed no offense. Well, I shouldn't say that. He committed no sin. A lot of people were offended by what he had been doing, right? But he was just telling the truth. And the truth can be very offensive to those who live in the dark, right?
I don't understand.
They just don't get it. But when we think about Jesus on the cross, and there's the one thief on one side and the other thief on the other side, and one's like talking to the other thief across Jesus, right? And he's like, the one is condemning him, if you're really God, get yourself down, and those kind of things. And then the other one says, hey, we deserve to be here. He doesn't, right? He knew that, he got that. God revealed that to him somehow. He realized he was a sinner. He deserved to be there. But Christ had done nothing wrong. He did not deserve to be there. So, and then the one said, just remember me when you take over your kingdom. And he said, you'll be with me in paradise today. Right? The other one, the crows picked his eyes out. So, too bad for him, right? He ended up in hell. The other guy ended up in heaven with Christ. So, we need to be able to not pick up the offenses that are constantly being thrown at us. You know, words, deeds, lack of deeds.
Facebook.
You know, there's always something. And we have to be, we have to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And part of the renewing of the mind is to get the mind of Christ. So we see things the way he saw them. We think about things the way he saw them or thought about them. We speak the way he would speak about things, right? That's the transformation process. It is a process. It's not like, boom, there you are. It's a whole lifetime to get there. And basically we get there once we get to heaven, and then we're good. So we're always a work in progress, so give people some space, like I said before. But when we think like Christ did on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. If that's where your head's at, you don't pick up the offense. You just don't. Because you realize they're the idiots. They just don't understand what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, they're lost. Even our brothers and sisters in Christ are still works in progress. Right? Now, Satan totally wants the brethren to be offended at each other. You know, John Bevere had an awesome book, The Bait of Satan, and I just highly recommend that. If you haven't read it, read it. If you've read it, read it again. But it really described in a lot of detail the way Satan works. And if you know your enemy, you can defeat him pretty easily. Right? But if you don't, you're dead meat. You're going to get the spear. Right? You're not going to have your armor on. You're going to be a casualty. Right? But we have to look at those, especially those that are lost, and even those that are saved, but they're not quite there yet. You know, they're still on their journey, on their walk with God. And I'm not saying I get the whole picture. I get some of the picture, but not all of it. I'm still working on things. But if you don't have your filter, Jesus, then you're not going to get the whole picture here. So those that are lost just don't get it, so don't be so judgmental. They just don't get it, right? You know, those that don't get it, we need to pray for. It's, you pray that they'll get it. They'll get some wisdom. They'll get the light. The light will come on. As Christians, we're supposed to be the salt and the light. We're supposed to preserve the kingdom things going on, and we're also to shine the light on things that are dark and evil, and because darkness disappears when you put light on it, right? Darkness doesn't eat up the light destroys the darkness. So kind of interesting how that works. Right? In the beginning it was dark, and then God said, let there be light. Now we can see. Okay, but part of understanding differences, celebrate them. Don't be afraid of them. Take the time over your covenant of marriage
To learn them.
to learn what the other person likes and doesn't like, and all those differences. Celebrate them. Hey, you like lemon pie? I like chocolate. Actually, I like both.
I was going to say, you like the lemon. I don't.
Yeah, I like pie, but again, it really gets down to that point where you're okay. You and God. This is good. I can put up with whatever you're doing, because I'm getting filled up constantly this way, so I can give out. I don't really need anything from you. I'll take you the way you are, just like God does. When it comes to coming to Christ, it's a come as you are party, right? You don't have to clean. You don't even have to take a shower, right? Just come on in. Dirty jeans, muddy boots, just been in the bayou fishing, whatever it is.
She just cleaned the house. She's going to be upset.
Nah, it's all forgiven. See, that's the point.
I was going to say, he accepts the homeless person as well as the president.
That's right.
You know, what I say to my husband is that I forgive you for the things that you haven't even done to me.
I'm glad you said that.
That's very
Because
good.
one of the things I like to talk about when we're talking about this whole like Christ on the cross thing, I like to go with the parable of the prodigal son, where the son took off with his inheritance. So it's like, Father, you're dead to me. Give me my stuff. I'm out of here. And he blows it, and he's in the pigsty fighting pigs over the food, and that's not a good place for a Jewish boy in a pigsty.
No.
So he finally gets to the end of the rope. He said, I can't do this. I'll crawl back to my father, and maybe he'll make me one of his servants or something. At least it'll be better than where I'm at. So he goes back, and one of the things I got out of that whole parable was it's almost like the father, like every day he was going out looking, waiting for the son to come back, hoping he would come back. Well, one day he does. And who knows how long that was? Maybe a year, 2 years, 6 months, who knows?
Tune in next week with Doctors Larry and Carol Snapp right here on ChristianLivingRadio.com for lesson number 4 of 12. Remember, it's more than just a radio station. It's a lifestyle. ChristianLivingRadio.com.
But once he saw that the son was actually coming down the road, he's like, hey, throw the cow on the Barbie. We're having a party. Get the robe, get the ring. Right? He forgave him a long time ago. Right? Shortly after he took off. Okay, I forgive you. We need to have this concept in our head of forgiving people ahead of time for the things we know they're going to do. If all we do is wait until somebody throws the rock, well, now we got to deal with it right then, right? But if we know that people are going to do stupid stuff. And some of it we're going to be kind of upset about, because it's going to get in my way of doing what I want to do. See, it's all about me, right? Whatever you did, it bothers me because it's about me. It's not about you. But if I forgive people ahead of time, knowing they're going to do something stupid that's going to bother me, then it doesn't bother me. Because I knew, they don't get it,
It's called unconditional love.
It is.
Right.
Unconditional.
Love covers a multitude of sins, right? It keeps no track of wrongs. It endures all things, right? That's what love is. You put up with a lot because you choose to. You understand what forgiveness is. You understand you are loved unconditionally.
Right.
Right? As soon as we stop thinking about me and we start thinking about him, it works. Because we can tolerate a lot of stuff. Now, part of the problem is tolerance has become a different word now. It's like, if you don't tolerate my sin, you hate me. Now it's personal, right? Because you don't tolerate what I'm doing, you hate me, right? And that's where everything's kind of going sideways. What you're doing is not right. We have the word of truth. We can tell right from wrong in that instance, but still we got to love people, And it's as we love them through what they're doing wrong, to show them, we got to show them what right looks like.